Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. So today we have Naved Aslam, sir, here with us today. So, sir, let's start with our session, the podcast.
Yeah.
Let's have an interesting conversation. To begin with, sir, so when did you decide? What was that factor? When did you decide that acting is your prime career? You will go in that direction.
Okay, so first things first, good afternoon and thank you very much for inviting me here. Second thing, my name is Naved Aslam, not Naved.
I'm very sorry, sir.
No, that's okay, you don't have to be sorry. I mean, it's just something that I'm sharing with you. Because Naved actually has a meaning. Naved means nothing.
Oh.
So, to my knowledge, the roots of Naved are in Sanskrit.
Okay.
So what we have Naivedya in Sanskrit probably is the root of the word Naved. Because broadly, roughly, it is believed that Urdu was born out of a sort of a marriage between Sanskrit and Persian.
Okay.
Since Persian is the sweetest language considered, and Sanskrit is the most perfect language, which has an inherent rhythm, and it has a beat, and it has all the matras in place, the most perfect language.
Sure.
So when you blend the two languages, then you get, broadly speaking, Urdu. Though that's not the recorded history, but this is my assumption. I could be wrong. So therefore, the sweetness in the language or the attraction one feels towards Urdu,
Sir.
because it has inherent beat, which is coming from one parent like Sanskrit,
Yes.
and it has a sweetness which is coming from the other parent, which is Persian.
Exactly.
Probably because the language was born in India, so it belongs here. Now, coming to your question, I never wanted to be an actor. I have never been formally trained in acting. So I did theatre from a very young age, because when you are in class 9, 10, then you have a lot of energy to spend. So either most of the people go into sports, or they get involved in scientific experiments and then they get drawn to the science as a field, or they do what I did, which is get drawn to any form of art. Like you must have heard that, when people are around 13, 14, parents are pushing them to play a guitar or play tabla or learn harmonium or learn singing. So that's exactly how it happened with me. So my father took me to watch a play, and then I was so enamored by what I saw that I said, I want to do this. So it happened so that during the day I would go to school, and in the evening I would be desperate to go and attend a rehearsal for a play. So theatre came into my life that early. So I was part of an amateur theatre group in Delhi, and we were rehearsing practically every month or performing a show.
Okay.
So it gave me a sort of an area to spend my energy in, and I got completely drawn to it. I went to Gandharv Mahavidyalaya to learn Indian classical music. So I learned 10 ragas. I've forgotten all of them except for one, which is Yaman Kalyan, because that's the easiest rag and that's the first rag which they teach you. So yeah, that's how it started.
What was that one character which you always wanted to play, or one character you would like to define it yourself?
That's a tough one, because it's when you have sort of done so many characters that I think I have done for myself, I can't really put my finger on a character that I would like to do, or why is anyone not asking me to do that? Because this does happen to all actors in the beginning, because we all come with a certain notion about acting, and we feel that, okay, I want to do this part. I want to play a doctor, I want to play a criminal, I want to play a police officer, I want to play a warrior, whatever. But as you go along working, you realize that each part comes with its own demands. It's only if you think of it seriously and you actually indulge in in trying to understand where the part is coming from, what is the background, what kind of preparation you must do. Physical preparation, mental preparation, emotional preparation. Then comes the last thing, which is the lines which you have to mouth. So unfortunately, people think that when you look at the script, okay, this is what I have to do. No. There is a lot that you have to do before you actually look at the lines and say, I have to say these lines. So I don't know whether I have the answer to this question, which is that part which I want to. I want to do all the parts. Exactly. Because it's a constant challenge. Yeah.
So apart from that, which character did you enjoy playing the most?
I've enjoyed playing everything, actually. I've played a very comic part in places which I thought I surprised myself also, because I was jumping like a monkey on the stage. and most of my friends thought I'm a very serious kind of a guy, and I said, no, I want to break that image. Because once you're an actor, then you should be ready and prepared to do anything, because that is what acting is, So, everything.
Okay. Next, how do you manage not to lose yourself to a character? Does some personality traits of that character stay in yourself after the role you've played?
I would say find me one actor in this world who actually manages to do that.
It's tough.
I don't think any actor can do that.
Right.
Because we have only one life. We are trained in a certain way. When we get into the shoes of different characters, it does two things to you.
Yes.
One is it's very liberating, because in all our lives we can only be just one person, either a teacher or whatever we aspire to be, right? But when you're an actor, you have the liberty of being so many people. So that way it's very liberating. You can act like a doctor, you can act like a angry man, you can act like a comedian, you can act like whatever you want, right? But what it does to you, because you have only one mind, and that is the only bank which holds the information about the characters that you're playing, and their biographies, and whatever the character's behavior pattern is, and their interaction with other characters. So there's bound to be certain aspects of every character which will fascinate you deeply, which is why you are able to perform that particular character well.
Yeah.
And it is humanly impossible to completely wipe that out of your head. It's not possible. Just like the audience sometimes gets fascinated by a character and they pick up a mannerism, right? ऐसे बात करेंगे, जैसे इन्होंने बात की थी, या ऐसे चलेंगे, या ऐसे कपड़े पहनेंगे. So this whole thing of fashion, the whole thing of style, the whole thing of imitating somebody, trying to be somebody. If this happens to the audience when they look at multiple characters, imagine what must be happening to the actor who's actually doing it.
Exactly. Wow.
That happens to actually a lot of us in this generation, watching TV series and movies. We want to be all of them.
Yeah.
So
So does this verb that a crowd is melting or indulging with the activity which the actor was playing or re-performing it. So is that a point of success for an actor in his or her life, that the audience is actually repeating those lines or recasting that role again?
Well, I would answer this in a manner where I would draw a line between an actor who works in front of the camera and an actor who works directly in front of the audience, which is on stage. So, in a very classic terminology, cinema is a director's medium. An actor can perform a character brilliantly, do all kinds of histrionics and all kinds of things for the character. But in the end, the director will decide how much of it is going to be seen. A, and B, how is it going to be seen?
Yeah.
Right? You are emoting and doing all sorts of drama, which is very intense. But the director has chosen to shoot that scene in a long shot. So here you are sweating it out, trying to play a character. And the director doesn't feel it's important that we need to go close to you. So he shoots it from a long distance. So there you are. So I mean, You feel disappointed, but I mean, that's not really your right because it's a director's medium. Whereas on stage, actor is the king or the queen, whatever. Because director can work hard on you for a month, 2 months, 3 months, but once the play opens, nobody but the actor can take the play in any direction. He can completely botch it, or he can completely, make it fantastic. And because it's like a direct interaction with the audience, just imagine the feeling that actors almost feel like they are second to God once they are on stage. Because they know that after 5 lines, they're going to do something funny and it's going to make people laugh.
Exactly.
And that unsuspecting audience is just sitting there, they have no idea. But the actor knows that after 5 lines, I'm going to do something funny and they're going to laugh. That's almost like having control over people's minds who are sitting and there's an audience in front of you. Or I'm going to do something and they're going to cry. So that when happens, when you expect it and you are driving yourself to that point, and it actually evokes that reaction, that is the best form of appreciation any actor can get.
Exactly.
Which is why I always insist on sharing my views with people that even if you are acting for cinema or for television, you must also do theatre. Because theatre is a big leveler. It really puts a lot of things in perspective for you. Apart from the fact that you need to learn a whole lot of lines and you need to remember a lot of things, and things can go wrong and there is no take two, You just need to figure it out and sort it out right there and then. And if you are bad at it, audience will know, and that's it. Your show is a flop show,
Exactly. So, how did you interact, or how did you learn how to interact with the camera? The camera talks to you, you reply back to the camera in this way. Was there a conversation ever?
Well, my formal training has been actually about being behind the camera. I am technically a trained filmmaker, I'm not a trained actor. So I went to a film school where they teach you how to shoot films, how to make films, how to write scripts, how to edit and all that. So I'm supposed to know what goes on in the mind of a director who's behind the camera. It so happened that in my life, which I am extremely grateful about, is that when I went to a film school, I already had 8 to 9 years of theatre behind me. So I already had been on stage and had experienced the life of an actor, however young I was. But that whole exchange with the audience, I had understood. So when I went behind the camera, which is where I was being trained how to look at actors, I think I felt that I had a little edge over my other classmates because I knew how the actor is going to react. And therefore, I was trying my best to capture that, And very soon I learned that camera can do only that much.
Okay.
So you cannot sort of imitate or replicate what happens on stage for camera.
Yeah. Okay.
Camera has its own language. It can get into your eyes. It can get into tight close-ups of your fingers if you're trying to do something.
Yes.
On stage, all this is lost because you're too far away from the audience. Right?
Yes.
So when this happened, then with some twist of fate, when I switched back to being an actor, which I have been most of my time up until now, I enjoyed it because then I knew what camera is looking at. So that's actually a position of privilege.
Exactly. So you know both the sides and you can play
So there were
off
times when I could look at the lens and I can see, because the lens, when the aperture is small and the aperture is big, when it is zoomed out or it's telephoto lens, because we are trained as filmmakers, you can look at the lens and you can say, okay, this is a telephoto shot or this is a wide shot, right? So as an actor, imagine if you have this knowledge and the moment you even glance at the lens once and you know what is the lens looking at,
exactly.
you can give that much more or that much less to the lens, So it's a very strange kind of flirtation you do with the camera.
Exactly.
So which I have enjoyed, and in the process, thankfully, I never got caught. because you can't hide away from camera. Any kind of tricks you play in front of the camera, it is constantly looking at you, so nothing goes amiss.
Everything is.
So yeah.
How has the technology changed the process of shooting? Has it eased your job or made it worse?
How has technology affected the process of shooting?
Yes.
Well, it has ended up speeding up a few things, for sure. Earlier, we were working on film, celluloid, so there were more rehearsals, there was less of shooting because the costs were high, stakes were high. Now with digital medium, people take like 30 takes of one shot because the cost is not that high. So that, in a way, sometimes, this is again my personal view, it gets irritating because I have very often found some extremely, incompetent people, working in front of the camera just because they know there can be 30 takes. Then people take it for granted. Whereas it's a very dangerous thing because you can't take the medium for granted. It is allowing you that right now, but you can't take it for granted.
Yes.
And it goes for the directors also. I met a director once who said, ever since the digital medium has come into the game, I have forgotten how to say cut. Now that's not really something which is, something you should be proud of or something you should be happy about. You forgot to say cut, meaning what? Are you not thinking? There is time being spent. While those 30 takes are being taken, there is that much time which is costing somebody money, So how can you make a statement like that? You have come prepared, so it should not be more than 2 or 3 shots. When you have good actors, when you have great script, when you have your vision clear, then whatever the medium is, you capture it and move on.
Wow. Yes.
Next, what was the difference between working in Pavitra Rishta and Once Upon a Time in Mumbai? So,
Once Upon a Time in Mumbai, firstly, is a feature film, and so far the only mainstream Hindi film, which is the mainstream popular cinema, as we define it. And Pavitra Rishta, on the other hand, is a TV series which is popular in its own way because it's television, and television has much larger reach and all that. So it's different because, again, the rules of acting don't change because you don't change into another actor when you act for films. But yes, you have to keep in mind that whatever you're doing is going to be amplified to that size.
size of the screen.
So sometimes some of the actors' mistakes may just pass because other heightened emotions around them are taking over the audience's mind, But on a big screen, when you're looking at somebody in 70 mm, those mistakes will be like really huge, As far as you're enjoying your being so big on screen, those mistakes also will be that size. So, but the film works differently because there is a certain inherent slowness in how you shoot the film. There is a different kind of care, whereas in television there are some other pressures that television works under. There is time is a factor. Then there is a huge number of characters involved in a scene, and the locations which need to be explored. Because in television you don't shift locations so much, So there is a constant danger of a scene becoming boring because it's the same walls, the same backdrop, same furniture, we are seeing over and over again. So therefore, the only thing that lightens up or brightens or drives the scene is the drama within the scene, Whereas that does not happen in films.
Yes.
Unless the film is set in a room. It's a story of one night or one day in a room, people are trapped.
The whole thing has to be.
Yeah, so cinema is a different language. It opens up, So the shot taking of cinema is different. in that sense,
Definitely.
from the shot taking for television. Yeah.
Definitely.
So, as designers, we have a tough time blending the gap between the client brief and what we have to design. So, I want to do something else, the client wants something else. So, have you faced such problems with your other colleagues?
The molding of lines, shift.
That the director wants something else and I want something else, I don't think we'll be working together. You know? So if I don't get what director wants, then he will not want me. And if he wants what I can't give, then I don't want him.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
Pretty
that
clear.
is one chemical bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now let's go to the next question. What is your favorite part? Favorite part of working on the set rather than acting?
my favorite part of working on a set is to observe my co-actors. Because I always believe there is so much to learn from the other actors. Because performing art is a very complex thing. People who think that they know it, even after looking at their lines, they know, okay, this is how I'm going to render it and I'm going to sound marvelous. I think there's a huge mistake they're making there. Because you can only know what you are doing.
Right.
You can never predict what the other actor is going to do,
Exactly.
right? And a scene is made with the amalgamation of all the performances coming together.
Blending everything in.
Everything has to blend. Other actor may just surprise you by doing something, and if it's on stage, then you can get completely thrown because you're not expecting it, and the other actor has completely done something magnanimous and fantastic and all that, and now you've forgotten your lines. That also happens.
That
Yeah.
is one situation.
You know?
I always used to think about it actually. Yeah.
You know, so some actors do it cleverly, some actors do it purposely, some actors do it by mistake, but I mean, this does happen.
Okay.
And it gets caught by the audience as much as by the character, because the other character starts fumbling, you know.
Yes.
Whereas on film, again, as I said, going back to what I said earlier, is that it's not really in your hands. You think you're a fantastic actor and you've got the part right and you look the part and all that stuff, and now you're going to deliver your line. You don't know how director is going to cut the scene. He may just used silent shots of your co-actor, which are far more powerful than your lines, which you thought said it all. So you should not take it for granted, and respect the medium. I mean, if it's film, then you have to just respect how director is thinking, because he's looking at the bigger canvas. You're only looking at the scene.
True.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to the last question, which is our favorite one and the
Okay.
patent. Okay. What flavor of ice cream do you think you are?
Flavor of ice cream. I can't answer this question.
Which represents your personality. What do you think you can be?
I don't know.
Blend of ice cream.
I'll probably give a very childish answer. Coffee walnut.
Oh yeah.
That's
Wow.
delicious.
Yeah.
A
Well,
little bitter.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you. Thank you.
spending time with us and answering these questions.
thank you. Thank you for inviting me.